Hey, Warner Pacific family, how you doing? This is Pastor Zoe, right here in front of the Slatter Chapel on the campus of Warner Pacific University, and I'm excited to join you for another episode of Night Talk. You know, on Night Talk, we endeavor to speak with students about how they've persevered through life's challenges, and I think it's very important that we encourage each other and share our life stories about how we've overcome certain situations. And so today we're going to speak to Pilate. That's right. I've been trying to catch up with this guy for a long time, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his life's experiences, and I'm so excited about it. So I'm inviting you to join us. So come on, let's go check it out. Night Talk. Hey, Warner Pacific family, how are you? This is Pastor Zoe, and we like to welcome you to Night Talk. And I have Pilate with us today. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. We've been trying to hook up with each other for a while now, and he has an absolutely fascinating story about his life. You know, I'm always talking to you about persevering over obstacles and all of that. And the purpose for Night Talk is to hear about your stories as Warner Pacific students, to encourage your peers and others for their life's journey and experiences as well. So we're going to talk right now. We're going to let you in to our conversation. So once again, just start off with kind of what you were telling me a little earlier about how you got started, where you're from and all of that.
Okay. So yeah, my name is Pilate. I started back when I was really young. I'm Haitian American. My family, they're from Haiti, and they immigrated from Haiti, coming here, moving back and forth between Oregon and Washington. So as a child growing up, I was back and forth in the streets and being in an apartment. I had no English, so it was definitely a different struggle. I feel like in those times I really persevered. There are times where I had to figure out when I was gonna know when my next meal was coming in. I had to know if I was the only one that was going through this or anything like that. I'm the youngest of five. We were all split apart at birth, me and my other siblings. I didn't know.
How was that? You said you didn't know about it.
Yeah, I didn't know.
So how did you discover that and everything, and how did you feel?
I discovered it when I later got into the foster care system, and I ended up running into my other siblings. And
wow.
Yeah.
Walk me through that. I don't want to spend the rest of the time on it, but just really walk me through how did it happen, and then how did you feel?
Right.
That had to be wow.
Yeah, it was definitely eye-opening. So how that ended up happening was one day I was walking on the sidewalk, just minding my own business, and I like to hang out with the kids in the neighborhood. So I had looked behind me and I seen two police cars, pull up into the driveway. I looked back and I was a little nervous, but something was telling me there's something wrong. And then I looked back again, and then the sirens went off. So I ended up running away. I lost them for a little while, and eventually they caught me and they took me into the office where we stayed at in the apartments.
Wow. Okay.
So I was around 5 years old. They did a lot. I didn't understand what they were saying because I had no English. So they questioned me and asked me questions, and after that, it was the last time I saw my parents. I looked up and saw the place, and then they put me behind in the back of the car and drove me to the next location. When I had went into that location, it wasn't right off I got to see my siblings. I went from one home to another home to another home.
Wow.
I felt like I had a lot of I couldn't really attach myself to people because I knew it wasn't going to be for a long period of time, even going to school and whatnot. Eventually, I got I ran into the house where my siblings stayed in. It was a big house. It was like a group home basically, big house, and it was mostly like black kids, you know, just us hanging around, and a big white house. It was a lot of rooms and whatnot, and it was the first time me getting homeschooled. So when my casa worker, we were driving up to the house, and then I, woke up and I opened the door and I see, three kids, all wearing uniforms, and they were just standing outside. And I'm like, oh, hey, like these are your siblings, Jamima,
Wow.
yeah, Anthony and Daniel.
Wow. So they took you to a place and you really didn't know where you were going, and that was your last time seeing your parents.
Yeah.
So they knew those are your siblings, but you didn't know?
Yeah, I didn't know at that period of time. And it wasn't until I ended up finding another one of my siblings that was adopted by another family.
Wow. Okay, man, that had to be a shock. That was fascinating to me. So I'm gonna let you continue with your story, but that's like made for TV movie there. So as you progressed from that, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So what happened after that?
So, after a while staying there, it was my mother. She calls it the witch's home, just because like our guardian, she put us through a lot. We dealt with a lot of like situations where we could have ran away from home or whatnot. Me and the other kids that were there, it was a very strict household. We faced like abuse and whatnot at a very young age. So, it was just like simple things like, doing this wrong, making sure like I wasn't, like what kids do, they make mistakes, not meaning to. So it was like, that process was definitely like difficult, but my siblings and I, we stuck together, and we tried to make the most of things. And I had eventually went to public school for a short period of time, but I was removed. My brother at the time, who I didn't know, who was just, I thought someone that was, another black kid, like I thought it'd be, cool with. And they had someone else who they adopted too, as well. So my brother Jerusalem and my adopted sister Caitlin. So they had pulled up to the house, and I got to hang out with them, and it was a vibe. I really enjoyed hanging out with them. So after that period of time, I got taken away from my other siblings, but I was upset because they couldn't come with me. And I was a bargaining chip, being in that household. I was there because they wanted money and funds and whatnot, and knew that out of all the siblings, I was the one that was most stable, because my other siblings had like other issues because of the trauma that they had went through.
Wow. So that's a lot. So that's between ages what and what?
I'd say like when I was like 5 to like 8 to.
Wow, man. So tell me, so what happened maybe around high school? Like you started progressing, and you came out of a lot. So
yeah,
what happened up to high school years, and then even to where you are now? Because you are not just a survivor, you're a victor, know. And so tell us a little bit about how it started progressing from there.
So like I'd say sports really kept me out of trouble.
Wow.
So I did a lot of sports growing up. I did baseball was the first sport I started with, moving on to basketball, track, and football. So I think because I was doing athletics, it kept me like in a good standing. My siblings, they got adopted in a new home eventually, a nice home. But yeah, high school was definitely, it was a hard transition. Just getting new to like my surroundings.
Okay.
I feel like my first 2 years wasn't so good, like with my academics, just because like I wasn't, caring as much. And I feel like my junior year was when I like matured and decided like, hey, like I want to graduate and I want to walk and not just be like left behind or drop out.
Well, it just seems to me like, man, you got a lot of grit just from your story. I'm pretty sure now that you look back at things, you kind of see how things might have been lining up, even though you went through a lot. How do you think your faith helped you out during that time? Because you said there was some type of transition where you grew up your junior year. What happened to you?
So like my family's Christian. So like went to church a lot when I was younger. I mean, I wasn't like super like religious or anything like that, but like, you know, going out and doing youth activities, they were fun. So it was tough in high school because I ended up losing one of my siblings at that period of time. So and it was my junior year. I was 16, and you know, coming home from a youth event, you know, we're going to Seaside, having a good time, and then coming back to the office, and then like my mother's just like, you know, she's crying and upset, and you know, talking to the youth leader, and she's all like, I'm like, hey, like what's the matter? And she's all like, oh, your brother Anthony passed.
Wow.
And you know, it completely shook me up because I didn't know how to handle that because I haven't, you know, seen him in a few years. So I wanted to catch up with him, update him.
Wow.
And it was hard. It was definitely hard experience, and like I realized like how much family was a big part of my life.
Wow.
How sticking together was very important. But like I think my relationship with God was like on and off, honestly, because I did not know how to react to those situations, and I felt like I had to push myself, but I never like handled my emotions like properly. Like, okay, I let myself, you know, do this. You know, toxic masculinity is powerful. You know, when you're taught not to like show emotion or to act a certain way. You know, it was very dominant. So, you know, when I was able to, you know, talk with, you know, my folks about it, especially my mother, she was like a very key point and letting me express my emotions, and like even having a mentor. And, you know, I went through that process with him. His name is Mr. Leary, and I was part of like a thing called I Am Academy. So it's like for like people of color, Black youth, and being successful in school. My older brother was in it, and my mom was like, you know, you should do it too. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. You know, I wasn't really too interested, but it was a big turning point. And then I didn't know what I was going to do after. I was thinking like, okay, I'll do 2 years of community college and find a university. But I ended up getting accepted here, even though I did the Act 6 scholarship, and I got to the second round of that, but they dropped me. And I ended up getting a new scholarship, which was the City Builder Scholarship. So, and they told me about it once I applied. So it was
wow. So, man, your story is so fascinating. So you went through all of that, and all of us have shortcomings, and you know, I'm no different. You know, you said it was in and out, but how did your faith help you? Because that's huge for you, just saying, hey, I'm going to community college, nothing wrong with community college or whatever, but then you found yourself here, and now you're actually about to graduate.
Right, yeah. Wow.
I'm getting happy just thinking about all that you've been through. How has God helped you through all of that? Loss of your family and just the traumatic experiences, and now you're about to graduate.
I feel like when I didn't have like how should I say it? If I was really down and low and I didn't know like what to do, like he would come to mind. In the times of you know, weakness or just like wow, I'm at my lowest point.
Right.
And I don't know who to talk to or what to do about this situation. So I just fall to my knees and just was like, all right, I don't know
Wow.
what to do, God, but like if you're there, like hear me out.
Wow.
I need help.
Wow.
So I thought that was like powerful because it didn't it got worse before it got better.
Right.
And like I say that because like even when I got here, I had realized I had a half sister who I didn't like. We just started rekindling, the family and whatnot. And at that time, she was pregnant with my niece, Jamia. No, excuse me, Jordan. And so like I thought that was like really cool because she had come by to see me when I was like a little kid, like a real little kid, and then I haven't seen her since. So it's like I didn't know of her existence because it was so long ago. So having to really stay intact with like my roots because like she's the only one that speaks Creole, so it was just like cool to like, okay,
wow,
I get to go in. She was about to teach me all the of the traditional meals and stuff like that. But it wasn't until like the second semester of my in spring of my freshman year, I was like right before break, we hanged out. Me, my brother, and my sister and I went over to our sister's house to hang out with our. And at that time, she had another child, Jamia, and we were all having a good time. And a few days, like a week later, finding out she passed away.
Wow.
And like ended up overdosing and whatnot. And I didn't know like why this was happening, like why.
Yes.
I lost, both of them, and and it wasn't just that because my other oldest brother, he wasn't in our lives that much either because, both Daniel and Anthony, they did drugs and whatnot, and like my brother ended up having, schizophrenia, and so, ended up getting homeless and just out and about, and it really has just remained us three,
right.
Me, Jerusalem, and Jemima. So when she had graduated school, University of Oregon, that's where she graduated. I looked up to her because she was like successful.
Wow.
And then I also started to look up to myself because I realized like I could do this too.
Wow.
And
yes.
It took a lot of willpower. And it wasn't just like, okay, stay positive. No, let yourself feel the emotions that you feel. Don't bury them, and like accept that this has happened. Even to this day, like it's difficult to accept that I ended up losing my two family members. But that's why I made them a part of me. Farah and Anthony. I got them. Right here, and then I got my Haitian flag tattoo, and we
that's
ended up
nice too.
Yeah. So it's I had learned a lot from those experiences and realized like what I'm doing, like my purpose and my why was family.
Wow.
Because I know they want me to succeed, even though I went through trauma.
That is so good, and what I am getting from you is that even though things happen, because you have a why, because you have your faith, even though you don't understand everything, that's what keeps you, and you need more than just some motivational speech.
Right, yeah.
And you have to have something deeper than that. And so just take probably 30 seconds or so and tell your peers or whoever's watching, that they may not be facing what you have or may have, but what is something that you can tell them to encourage them through the time that the dark season that they're in right now?
I'll just say like whatever things that you go through, even though like it's difficult and it's tough right now, it doesn't last. It doesn't last forever. The clouds don't stay dark and cloudy. the sun will rise, the skies will clear, and you know, it doesn't matter where you come from, what background, how, like what you're capable of or anything. Like you can do it. You know, just having that foundation, that right support, and just someone that you're able to talk to. I think that's really key in doing so. So you know, being determined and staying strong is one thing I'd encourage. And if you need that help or anything like that, I call to God, and definitely know your why and your reasoning and your purpose of doing what you do, because in the end it will amount to something.
Wow.
So.
I love it. I love it. You heard it here first, and we appreciate you checking out Night Talk, and we're going to bring some more of these to you because we want to know your stories. So once again, this is Pastor Zoe, and I'm so glad we got a chance to do this.
Yes,
I
sir.
am. This is so awesome. So we'll be talking to you later, and stay tuned for the next episode of Night Talk. God bless you.